Hello, I'm David Ralph. I'm Chief Executive of the Heart of the Southwest Local Enterprise Partnership, and I cover Somerset, Devon, Torbay, and Plymouth. Originally, I was going to present on some of the emerging strands around how we see growth emerging across the Heart of the Southwest, and in particular, the key funding streams that are going to drive business growth forward. But because of the challenge that we face at the moment in dealing with coronavirus, and particularly the challenge to business, I'm going to basically keep my thoughts and comments to that and our response to that at the moment. The first thing I want to say is that we recognise this is extremely challenging for all parties and all businesses. There are products being brought forward that are going to help. There is still information to be gathered on those, but I want to emphasise that if you can let us know information, we will duly pass it on, and we recognise it is pretty tough out there for people. The Heart of the Southwest is at the forefront of trying to support local business, and we are doing that through working in partnership with our local authorities and our business representative organisations and other stakeholders in trying to facilitate a clear understanding of the challenges and also coordinate responses. It is not only to businesses but also clearly to individuals, particularly those that are most vulnerable. And also we are constantly waiting for information to be updated so that we can get those things out. But things are moving on a daily basis. And first of all, I would like to offer a significant number of measures and financial support packages that are being coming out of government, and particularly refer people to our Growth Hub service. This can be found online, Heart of the Southwest Growth Hub, which we want to use as the main depository and repository for information. This helps us gather information in one place, but always give out accurate information for where you can get advice and guidance and business support going forward. Details of all available packages will be published in a pretty timely way online, and already we've seen today, for example, which is Monday, the new interruption scheme emerge coming out of British Business Bank. So details of that are already online and can be gathered. One of the big challenges is about common messaging. There's a lot of fake news out there. It's not to say it's not difficult for many people, but trying to corral that information so that we can accurately foresee difficulties that are emerging and respond to them directly remains important. So principally at the moment there are three direct sources of support which are all identified through the Growth Hub and delivered by a couple of different partners. So the first is that there is emergency funding, business rate support, etc., that is likely to be administered through through local authorities. But at the moment, the mechanics of that are still emerging, and that is not yet a live scheme. However, you can contact the Growth Hub and they will give you advice about how you bring that together. And many of you may have already been in contact with your local authorities. Essentially, they do it because they're the grant collecting agency for business rates, so they are probably the most likely people to do it. But it's important at this stage that information has not yet been published. Secondly, there is a business interruption loan scheme that is being issued and driven by the British Business Bank. It is a loan scheme. It is gone live today, that's Monday the 23rd of March, and it is available for small and medium-sized enterprises under 45 million to access and use. It is a loan scheme. There are rules and regulations around it. It's exercised or delivered through a whole range of funding partners, about 40 of them. And again, you can either contact the loan scheme directly, or the Growth Hub will direct you where to go to get that information. And the third element is the stuff that came out at the end of last week around the employment retention package. Again, this is a huge package of which details are emerging. I understand it's backdated to beginning of March, and that will be available, but at the moment details are still emerging, how it's going to be, how the information is going to be gathered, etc. So those are the three main products. Now there are also in existence a range of other products that are available, some of them through existing banks, etc. Our digital skills partnership, for example, is looking about how it can support remote working, and some of that is being made available on a website as well. And we're trying to look at accelerating some of the skills, things that we wanted to do. So it is constantly worth checking in with the Growth Hub or perhaps with your business representative organisation to try and understand how that support is coming forward. So finally, there is also a big aspect of this around lobbying. And we are really keen to understand particularly granular issues. So we do understand the big picture, it's reported in national press, but the clearer we can be around specifics affecting our local economy, then the easier it is to try and identify how we can support and help. We are very aware of the challenges, for example, in the tourism sector at the moment. We are aware of increasing emerging challenges in the food supply chain, etc. But trying to granularize those into a set of issues that we can bring forward is really, really important. So we would encourage businesses to try and feed in this information. We are going to sit down with our business advisors and stakeholders to try and work out better ways of doing that. It is very difficult at the moment because, as you can see, I'm working from home, as many of us are at the moment, to try and we're not meeting face to face, but trying to identify those things that are coming forward and how we might respond to them is very, very important at this time. So if you've got things you want us to be aware of, so for example, I know there are big challenges about HGV drivers at the moment. I know there are some concerns about being able to transport goods across closed borders, etc. Then there will be problems. So we want to try and work out better ways of trying to do that. Again, I am responsible for overseeing a weekly submission into government to bring these issues forward. So you're not just doing it into a blank screen, you're doing it into information that is going forward to government to be able to understand some of that and more directly, and also locally how we might bring some of that forward. So I do understand it's a difficult time. There are some emerging responses coming out and being delivered. There's a lot of pressure on people to bring those forward in a timely and helpful way. We know that's the case. We have worked quite hard over the last few days to make sure we've got the capacity to respond to these inquiries and bring them forward. It's not easy. A lot of people under pressure. Our local authorities not only are trying to support businesses, but they're trying to support vulnerable groups. They've got school closures, etc., etc. So there are a lot of people working really, really hard. Obviously, through the local enterprise partnership and the business support organisations, our priority is around essentially trying to really support business and how we might take that forward. So just to conclude, working primarily on 5 particular areas at the moment, just for your information. So they are: how do we get the employment retention support package out, information to people, because that's pretty time critical at the moment. The second issue is how do we distill that market information so we can report concerns and future concerns in a timely way up the line to government. The third would be around what other packages can we help use in a local area in order to provide support. So that might be digital skills acceleration or things like that. The fourth is really about how can we reposition some of our existing projects, etc., to make them achieve more to support business going forward. And then the fifth thing, which I'm not spending a lot of time at the moment, we'll have to spend time probably in a couple of weeks' time, is essentially what does recovery look like and how do we want to position for that. So I hope that's helpful. That's the position of the Heart of the Southwest LEP at the moment. Please do look at our website, and if you Google Growth Hub or Google Heart of the Southwest Growth Hub, that will take you into the specific business advice about where you can access finance products and also support going forward. Thank you.